From being one of the best fighters in the UFC's middleweight division to his unhealthy obsession with fighting and losing against Alex Pereira, Israel Adesanya refuses to stay away from his arch-nemesis, even going against his own coach. Turns out Eugene Bareman wanted his prized fighter and former champion to take things a little easy, at least for the time being. You see, guys, Izzy had a very busy schedule when he was defending his title, and Bareman told Ariel Helwani on the MMA Hour that if he had a choice, he wouldn't have allowed the last style bender to fight. He felt as if the former middleweight champ needed a bit more time.
My team's proud of me. Yeah, like, respectfully, everybody else. It's all about my team.
Yeah. Given all that, do you believe, a rematch, is that what you're going to hunt?
Of course. Come on, man.
Especially after the TKO loss that he suffered at the hands of the Brazilian. Even then, Izzy's coach would have gotten him to fight a couple of other guys before throwing him back in the ring against Pereira. But something like that doesn't happen in the UFC. It only happens in an ideal world where Eugene would have some say in the matter. Because Adesanya just wanted this fight ASAP. He wanted to be the one to fight Pereira next, even after he went through an ankle surgery. Now, before you get too confused, Bareman did say that it was only a minor operation.
Eugene, last time we spoke, it was a fortnight before the fights and you were heading off. Some of the boys were talking about it being cold over there. They weren't looking forward to that.
But he wanted Izzy to take some additional time off to get back to 100%. Adesanya, though, is not to shy away from any fight, let alone one against his nemesis. Bareman said Izzy was willing to take a fight last year for a card that didn't have a main event, and the UFC was considering Pereira for it. The Kiwi was all ready to enter the octagon against him only on 4 to 5 weeks' notice. That's some championship mentality, if you ask me. Izzy just wants to settle the score and wash the bitter taste of his last 3 defeats against the Poatan. I mean, that last loss was a little questionable, because a lot of people thought that the fight was stopped prematurely. The referee, Mark Goddard, was under fire for that decision. Even Adesanya was telling him that he was fine and could fight right as the bout was stopped. But Bareman disagrees with that take completely. He thinks that the ref made the correct call, because if Goddard didn't stop it when he did, then there were chances that Izzy would have been hurt even more. To be honest, the former champ did look like he had had enough of Pereira's fists. He might have been still standing, or more like leaning against the cage, but he wasn't actually defending or protecting his face.
He slips that offering from Pereira.
Izzy's got to stop him from getting so...
So Eugene is grateful that the match was stopped because Izzy got to fight another day. He has recovered quicker and is healthier than he would have been if the ref allowed Pereira to land a couple more strikes. His fighter is all right. That's what matters to him the most in the end. But Bareman still would have liked the fight to be pushed back a couple of months.
We get to, but yeah, I've been to Dublin a few times. It's always been very dreary, but as the sun was out the whole time, it was really nice perspective.
As it stands, the UFC has confirmed that Adesanya and the Poatan are going to have their rematch on April 8th in Miami, Florida.
Kick there by Izzy, and he goes high. With the jab.
The veteran coach wanted it to happen in May or June, but he's still okay with the current timeline that they have. Bareman told Helwani that the last style bender has been hard at work in training, and so far the progress is going according to his plan. He still wants to push Izzy a little harder at the moment, because that's what he always does with his boy.
That jab's money.
I mean, he hits so hard, you can hear it when he lands.
But Eugene thinks that they are still on track for the rematch against the reigning champ. In fact, he's actually excited.
You know, I know it's a pretty stereotypical answer, but the boys are on track. Yeah, the boys are tracking well. There's still a lot to be done.
Why? Because Pereira is a very dangerous opponent according to him, and there's just too much on the line for the whole team. So the experience is really invigorating for Izzy as well as the coaches. I don't know if you guys actually know this, but Adesanya has got one sick team. His gym, City Kickboxing, is one of the top gyms in MMA, and it has produced champions and top contenders like Izzy, Alexander Volkanovski, and Dan Hooker. I mean, their game plan and training almost allowed Volk to defeat Islam Makhachev Makhachev. So I'm really not betting against these guys to make a miracle happen against Pereira. Behrman said that right now they are refining some of Adesanya's techniques to change the outcome of the match, and seeing these little things take effect on the big stage is what he lives for. UFC 287 is looking really promising to me right now. Now, Pereira has proven time and time again that he has Izzy's number, but the last style bender won't back down. According to the former champ, he isn't keeping score because he's going to settle it. Adesanya doesn't care about the belt. F the belt, F everything else. He's just going out there again for bragging rights. The rest are just details that don't really matter to him. You've got to imagine the strength of character it takes for a guy to walk into the octagon against someone who has defeated them 3 times. But Izzy has the heart and the will to test himself again. He's not even doing anything special for it either. The last style bender is going to fight like he always does, because in his own words, I'm always beating him until I'm not. But this time, he's going to go the distance and make sure he can close it out. Adesanya told the media that he's only talking because they want him to talk. He's definitely gonna do more inside the cage. Maybe Izzy's finally gonna change up his strategy because his current one isn't really winning. I get that Adesanya is a very gifted and very technical fighter, and that he's always ahead on the scorecards. But Pereira doesn't care about the scorecards or the judges. He just goes in there for the kill. Just look at their last fight. Pereira lost 3 out of 4 rounds in that fight. The judges had Izzy ahead, and all he had to do was literally nothing in the final round. He just had to ride the clock out. But Pereira knew this. He knew that he had to knock his old rival out to secure the win. And that's exactly what he did. He didn't leave his fate or his title claims in the hands of some guys who were scoring the fight. The Powhatan took matters into his own massive hands and delivered Izzy his first ever loss in the division. No one expected this to happen back then. I mean, their rivalry from the kickboxing days wasn't unheard of, but it just blew after Pereira won. And now everyone thinks he's a monster that no one can beat. But I doubt he'll be able to keep his title for long. So far, Pereira has shown that he's an excellent striker. He's sharp on his feet and he hits like a truck. But how well is he going to do against a grappler? How good is his takedown defense? How good is his ground game? Those are all questions that are just out there right now. But maybe Izzy should have taken some more time off and built up some other aspects of his game. He could have worked on his ground game some more. He would have been a more complete fighter for his rematch. Izzy's title shot isn't going anywhere. He's a performer. He entertains people and fans love watching him fight, while also being an amazing fighter. But as it stands, Uncle Dana loves guys that make him some money. So the last style bender's always going to be safe no matter what. He would have gotten his title fight a few months later if he wanted, because it's too risky for him right now. If he loses again, he can say goodbye to any title chances for some time. That's been all about why Izzy's coach thinks he should have taken some more time before the rematch.